My name is Steven Duran, and I'll be informing you about the Swiss cheese model. The Swiss cheese model, proposed by James Reason in 1990, is utilized in aviation safety for accident causation, risk analysis, and risk management. Reason separated the Swiss cheese model into four layers of human error: organizational influence, unsafe supervision, preconditions for unsafe act, and finally, the unsafe act. Failures for organizational influence may consist of cuts in funding and quality reduction in training. Unsafe supervision may consist of pairing of inexperienced pilots or not correcting for an ongoing problem. Preconditions for the unsafe act may be caused by mental fatigue, poor communication or coordination, and the unsafe act is the final cause of the accident. In the model, the slices of cheese represent defenses in place to prevent failures. We don't live in a perfect world, so these defenses have holes in them. In rare cases, these holes will align and result in an accident. Failures are classified as either active or latent. However, these failures work together to create a chain of events that would eventually lead to an accident. Active failures are the last unsafe act committed by aircrews during an accident or incident. They are associated with the fourth level of the Swiss cheese model and are broken down into errors and violations. Error is defined as the failure to achieve intended outcome due to mental or physical activity. Error can be classified as skill-based error, decision error, and perceptual error. According to Scott A. Shappell, violations are defined as willful disregard for rules and regulations that govern safe flight. They occur less frequently, but often do the worst damage. Latent failures are failures that are not exactly obvious to investigators. They remain dormant and may be undetected for a long period of time during investigation. In addition, they are associated with the first three levels of the model. As stated previously, Reason's Swiss cheese model is a tool for finding the causation of an accident and analyzing the risks associated with it. I will use the model to explain the Fine Air Flight 101 accident. On August 7, 1997, Fine Air Flight 101 crashed shortly after takeoff due to improper weight and balance calculations. The crew entered a steep climb at about 70 degrees nose-up pitch and eventually stalled and crashed in a tail-low right bank attitude. As an organization, Fine Air contracted a company called Aeromar under a wet lease to load and fuel the aircraft. However, Aeromar loading personnel were not provided with classroom training on loading aircraft. Instead, they learned on the job. Although personnel were physically able to load the aircraft, they did not have the proper knowledge and understanding on how certain configurations affect aircraft CG. Lack of training created a hole in this level of defense. According to load sheet, position 18 and 17 were left vacant. However, due to pallet locks not closing, supervisors decided to occupy position 17. In addition, supervisors wanted position 4 to be rotated 180 degrees, but due to miscommunication, it was rotated 90 degrees. Based on the supervisor's decision, position 4 and 5 were occupied, while position 2 was empty. However, a weight imbalance was not created for the new configuration, so the performance limitations were still from the old weight imbalance sheet. The decision error and lack of supervision from the supervisors resulted in a hole in the second level of the model. In the precondition of the Unsafe Act, the flight crew set aft trim in anticipation for the forward CG generated from the load sheet, yet the new configuration resulted in aft CG. This led to a hole in the third level of the model. For the Unsafe Act, the flight crew did not correct for the excessive pitch immediately with the use of elevator and forward trim. However, during this time period, crews were not trained for this exact scenario. We can see that accidents are not caused just by one unsafe act. Instead, they're caused by a chain of events. This model allows organizations and investigators to allocate resources to create new defenses to stop and detect failures before accidents happen.